Hey guys, I hope this thing works. Please let me know if you can see and hear me. Um, I hope you enjoyed the Songs of Ice main video premiere. And please let me know what you think. Did you enjoy it? Um, Also, I really would like to know where you're watching from. I saw that John was in the chat as well as Flo and Marina. And let me guys know if you, you know, came to the stream as well. I would really like to chat with you here too. Okay, I think. Hello, Flo. Happy New Year. Yeah, thank you. How was your holiday season? Are you still on holiday or is it already, working week ahead of you? Here in Russia, it's still the holiday season because here the Christmas is celebrated on January the 7th. So we have some, days off still. Um, Watching from Spain, Metamystic. Oh, hello. Uh, Hey Marina, nice to see you here. I saw that you enjoyed the camera work in the video. I'm really glad you like it. Also, I'm gonna switch to Russian for a moment, and then I will be back speaking in English. But I just want to let our Russian-speaking friends know that I can translate for them. Uh, Всем привет! Если вы смотрите меня и говорите по-русски, и не понимаете по-английски, то, пожалуйста, напишите в чат, что вам нужно, чтобы я переводила. Потому что мне это нетрудно сделать, но если вы понимаете по-английски, то это просто сэкономит нам немножко времени, если я все-таки не буду все переводить. Окей, so. Saludes des Costa Rica. Uh, so I don't really speak Spanish, Jamie, but I guess you enjoyed it, and thank you so much. And I guess you also wish me a good New Year. So thank you, and Happy New Year to you too. Marina все понимает. I know you do, my darling. Glad that you're here. Last day of restful holidays. Back to work tomorrow. Oh, I feel for you, Flo. But to be honest, I personally didn't have any days off, like at all. So obviously the holiday season starts later here because of the difference in the dates of the Christmas, right? So we basically had just, since the 30th, I think. I don't know. I don't work a regular job, so I don't know. But I think it was since the 30th. And obviously, I've been working on the video, basically till today, fixing all the small details. But the majority of work I've been doing like since mid-November throughout the whole December. And also, we had some, rented some gear to test on the 31st, then celebrated the new year. Then I also started experimenting with some techniques related to the rented equipment. So I basically worked throughout the 31st and the New Year's night. Then on the January 1st, we installed some stuff for our small filming set in my room, and then on the January 2nd I was back to finishing the video. So really no days off at all. So I hope that I'm finally free from it, and maybe I will take some days off next week. So what about you guys? Did you enjoy your holidays? Atticus, hello, I'm from Brazil. Wow. Happy New Year. Happy New Year too. Fantastic video. Thank you, John. The scenery helps bring the lyrics to life. Oh, I'm in the Goose Bay, Labrador. Yeah, and you said that it was like a national park there, right? I'm really glad that the scenery in the video kind of helps you to dive deeper into the song, to enjoy all the stuff that's it's actually written about. I really had a very, very clear vision of what I wanted this video to be, and not just the video, the actual song. And I actually started writing it after I saw a video on YouTube. It was actually called Songs of Ice, I think, but it's basically about this natural phenomenon that happens when ice settles on lakes or small rivers in the north. And when the temperature is right, I think it actually makes this interesting eerie sound. If you want to hear it, you can Google it. I'm sure you will find the same video as I did. And it got me thinking about this idea, and obviously not just the actual sound of the singing eyes, but about all the magic that the nature brings to our lives, and that we should try and keep it safe and preserve it, because it was here even before probably people were, and so many generations lived through this beautiful nature. And it was pretty much the same. Right? So it's the same that our ancestors saw, and we really should try and keep it the same, clear and pristine. So yeah, that's what I wanted to, reflect in the song and also in the video. And I also want to show you how I actually made the video. Милиша! О, Таня, привет! Зима не зима, ждем нормальную зиму, а ее нет. No good winter for Tina. She really wants some more snow, I guess. Сгоняйте в Выборг, там зима норм. Oh, go to Выборг. I'm not sure what it's called in English, actually. And it's cold there. Also, our friend Aruna Nera recently went to Murmansk, and she actually saw the northern lights there. Interesting if there's any northern lights in Vyborg. Not sure. Maybe it's closer to the south, obviously, but is it much different? I wonder. Okay, so a few technical notes. I guess you can see me and hear me well, which is great, but actually I had some difficulties setting up the stream, because nowadays YouTube is super slowed down in Russian, that it's actually basically blocked. So we all need to use VPNs now to access YouTube, and not only to watch videos, but obviously to stream as well. And I wasn't sure if it's going to work, but I figured it out, luckily. Another technical issue that I had setting it up is that I wanted to show you the actual project I worked on in After Effects for this video. But it's just so massive and so heavy on the GPU and CPU of my computer that if I try to also stream it, it crashes. So I'm going to show you only the screenshots that I made. So I'm sorry if it's not super detailed with the technical stuff, but I will try to do my best to nerd out, but not to bore you at the same time. I was wondering if you wrote and composed the song. The melody and lyrics are beautiful. Thank you. When you just talked about the inspiration of the song, I thought about Second Element by Blackmore's Night. I think I know this song, but I just can't, think of what it exactly sounds like from the top of my head. I will check it out later. And yes, I write all our original songs, all the songs on the Songs of Summer EP, as well as this song and all the future songs in our upcoming album. So yeah, and thank you. I'm really glad you like it. And I also got a question on Instagram from my friend Frankie from Ceiling Sphere band. Hey Frankie, if you're watching, maybe you're gonna watch it later. I am not sure. But Frankie asked how we actually filmed the video. And the answer is yes, we used green screen and a lot of green screen. I'm going to show you some of the behind the scenes pictures, and if you're a member of my coffee page or Patreon, you probably already have seen them, but I'm gonna share them with other guys here too. So we filmed like at two locations. So one is my room and the other is our rehearsal space where we have the drum set, and we obviously brought our green screen with us. And Sergei also got the shield and the sword and the actual chainmail, I think it's called, to become the real Viking for this video. And you can see that Anton is really enjoying his outfit too. We did some, kind of ethnic markings or whatever, war paint, and it's mostly just like fantasy inspired, though some of the symbols are actual runes. Though it wasn't like the purpose to make it super authentic, we just wanted to make this fantasy world. Yeah, and here we are. Yay. The fantasy world where we can mix different cultures and kind of bring real historical cultures and fantasy worlds together. So this was the idea behind the costumes and the makeup. And here is a short video how we filmed Tina, and this part we filmed at my place. So basically it's a really small setup to film this stuff. However, it brings some challenges to post-production because we don't have that much space to move away from the green screen, so it spills on all the reflective stuff, and it's challenging to clear it, key it out, as it's called later. So I'm gonna show you kind of a failure, actually, but I managed to fix it. So here is how our drums look in camera. So you can see that the cymbals reflect a lot of the green, and obviously when I try to key it out, they basically disappear. So I have to mask them all manually, draw a mask around each symbol, and it's okay if Sergei doesn't play them at the time, but if he plays any particular symbol, I need to animate the mask. And so in the end it looks like this. Right? Oh, obviously a lot of color correction also needed to do this stuff. All right. So, if you guys remember, I talked about making our previous videos with Unreal Engine, the Where Have All the Flowers Gone video, and also Gods and Monsters. And all the backgrounds were made in Unreal Engine then. However, the issue with this particular workflow is that I had to animate the camera inside Unreal Engine, and then I had to export the backgrounds already with the motion, and then I had to track this motion so I could attach our footage to that backplate. right? And first of all, Unreal Engine takes a lot of time to render any videos, especially if you want to do them in high quality. Uh, like it's insane amount of time. So I had to, kind of compromise and make it a little bit less realistic than I would have liked. And then it's hard to track the camera motion that's already baked into the backplates. So I chose another way to do it this time. It wasn't much faster, as you can guess, but I think the result is quite a lot better. Let me check out what you're writing, and I will tell you more about it. You are a visionary artist. Oh, thank you so much, John. In addition to being a musical artist, great combination. Thank you, thank you. I really appreciate you saying that. Много проблем возникло с волосами, чтобы откиились. Когда они развиваются, вроде сегодня возникают проблемы. The result is nice. Thank you, Flo. Потрясающая титаническая работа. Thank you, Tina. So Marina asks if it was hard to key out the flow in hair. And surprisingly, it wasn't the main issue. Of course, it's tricky, but there are techniques, like very much traditional techniques of keying out hair, and they work pretty well. It's a little bit tricky with Tina's hair because she has very light blonde hair in this video, and so they reflect a lot of green, so they seem green as well. So that makes it a little bit tricky, but the hair is not the main issue. The main issue was actually the reflective surfaces, like the cymbals on the drums, and also, surprisingly, everything with leather. Even though it doesn't seem that reflective in real life, it reflects a lot of the light. So all the belts, all the, what's it called, bracers, like... things you wear on the wrists. I think it's called bracers. I'm sorry if it's not. But all these leather things reflect the green. And so they also partially disappear. And so I had to also track them, which is especially tricky if, you see how Sergei moves his wrist when he's playing the drums super fast, so the mask flies all over the place, and so I have to track basically every frame, and not the best way to spend your evenings, I would say. So back to the idea of how I made this video with some new technologies. So instead of just relying on Unreal Engine to do all the backgrounds, I actually used it to make the mock scene, to have, all the settings that I wanted, so where I wanted them. And actually the intro shot of the video is also made in Unreal Engine because the camera travels a long, long way there, and it would be tricky to do it in any other way. But what I thought is that now we have so many cool AI tools that I can use them to improve the quality of the backgrounds. Because unfortunately, Unreal Engine doesn't do well with snow, and I tried several different plugins to do it, and it still didn't look really nice. I'm going to show you a comparison of the Unreal Engine render, though it's not super high quality, but believe me, it's not great even if it's high quality. And then how I transformed it. So this is what we had straight from Unreal Engine, and I'm not sure if the stream will allow you to see all the details because the quality might be not that great, but you can see that the snow looks kind of flat. It has some shadows, but especially on the rocks on the right, it seems like it's just like some concrete with white paint. It doesn't really look like snow. But I made the screenshots from the scenes that I wanted as my backgrounds, And then I put them into Leonardo AI, and this is what I got. So even though I also had to Photoshop in the boats, it doesn't understand the word drakkar, apparently, and the buildings behind the rocks here on the right. Uh, you can see that the snow and the trees and the mountains look much better than in Unreal. So here is the Unreal render again, and here is the AI'd version of the same shot. So I did this with all the background plates I needed for the video. I think it's about like 15 of them or so, maybe a little bit, a few more. Yeah. And also, I made some plates with our reference mannequins, so I would know like where I wanted to place and what angle I wanted to do. I didn't follow them like super precisely 100%, but just for reference, this is the shot with the mannequin from Unreal Engine again, obviously, and here is the shot that I composited with the Leonardo AI background and with our lovely Tina here. So the placement is like somewhere like here. It's somewhere similar, right? It's just, I tried to match the screenshot because the camera is moving. It's not super precise, but I think you get the idea. Стало лучше. Yeah, thank you. I'm glad you like the, improved version. Otherwise, it would have been silly of me to, try to do it all. And, if you didn't like it in the end, kind of cringe. Okay, but so how did I turn the images? Obviously, Leonardo AI it doesn't do 3D yet, at least. I had to somehow turn the images back into 3D. So when I moved my virtual camera, I could, have some perspective shifts and, objects moving like they should move in 3D, not just a flat surface. And there is another AI tool. It's called Zoe Depth. And it's really, really simple. You just upload your image and it can create a depth map. So a black and white image with, how far objects or how close they are to the viewer. So and it also can actually create a 3D object from your image. So I actually used it and made a lot of 3D things, and they look kind of weird. Let me show you. When you just see them in like After Effects editor, they look kind of funky. So it's the front view on the left and the side view on the right. But when you use a virtual camera with, I think, 35mm virtual lens, it looks just like it should. It turns into an image with the correct perspective. However, the issue with this Zoe Depth was that even though I made the images like in high resolution, I think they were at least 4K, maybe even 6K, because I upscaled them. Unfortunately, Zoe Depth shrinks them down. So the resolution of the texture on this little 3D model is super low, and if you try to zoom in on it with your virtual camera, it starts to, look super blurry or pixelated at some places, and it's not good. And this 3D object also is made in a kind of weird way. I'm not professional in 3D, obviously, but I had a really hard time figuring out how it was made, and the texture kind of is internalized into the object. I'm not sure how to put it. So you basically can't extract it or change it in any way, like with the many 3D object that you can download from the internet, where you can have a texture file, just a PNG file, or other just image file attached to this object where you can change it. So I had to figure out a way to change the texture without having access to the texture, basically. And for that, I used Blender. And it's, again, a nerdy, boring thing. But it took days to figure out for me. Again, maybe a more versed in 3D world person would have figured it out much faster. But in the end, I had to use what's called camera projections in Blender. If you're interested, I actually talk about it in more detail on Patreon, and I also have a link to a tutorial there that I followed. So basically, it takes an image that you have, the high resolution image that I want in this case, and it projects it to the 3D object, and then you can kind of wrap it in this projection, so it uses the new texture that is high resolution. And that's what I did with all the backplates or back 3D objects. So that was an extra step to achieve this result. Incredible. Can't imagine the time to pass to understand and test all these technical tricks. Yeah, thank you, Flo. It's it's not super complex, really. You just have to have some knowledge about all these techniques. Just watch a lot of YouTube videos about AI and video editing, basically, and then it's just trial and error. And that's just what I do with everything. So yeah. And then, of course, we just import this 3D object into After Effects, which is luckily now supports 3D. Though not fully, there are some limitations, but basically you can import the image, set up a virtual camera, and it will look like this. Of course, there are some limitations with these generated 3D objects. It's just you can see here, it's just kind of a panorama thing, I guess. So all objects are baked into one. And if you try to zoom in too closely, it kind of stretches out weirdly. So like here on the left, the trees are stretching out from the background, but because this image doesn't contain any information of what actually is behind those trees, it doesn't know it. It stretches them to the side. So I had to also keep in mind that even though I can use some camera motion using these objects, it wouldn't be like a dramatic zoom in. I had to, make some patches here and there, especially with those trees. So I just basically put a flat image on top of that area that was stretching out to fix it, but I had to do it just maybe in 2 or 3 shots that had this issue. If you notice any stretching in the background in the video, guys, let me know if I missed it. Yeah, and so then you can, of course, just add your characters to the scene, and they work like flat 3D objects. So you can put them behind the 3D relief that you have here, like the rocks in the front. I also had to do some sliced portions of this this surface because some plugins don't support 3D in After Effects, but it was just not super necessary. I could have, done it all without those plugins, but they are just familiar to me, and so I wanted to use them. So I also had to make some front rocks to add them in front of our characters. But they still were 3D, so it's all fit together nicely and made the 3D motion of the camera look realistic. And then I did some magic with blending it all together, and then finally I did the color grade, and we have the video here. And unfortunately, on top of all the work I had to put into actually making the video, so keying out the green screen, making the background in 3D, putting all the elements together, it also took a huge amount of time to render it out from After Effects. And if you've ever used After Effects and Premiere Pro, you probably know that there's a possibility, let's say, of linking them together. Unfortunately, however, if your After Effects project is this huge, this link doesn't really work. So what I mean to say is that I first edited the video in Premiere Pro. So I just cut the pieces that I wanted to be in the video edit, right? And then I linked them to After Effects to do all this 3D keying magic. But I couldn't see it back in Premiere to just render out the whole video, right? It would have been easy and fast, in theory. Unfortunately, with this huge project with more than 150 compositions, it didn't work. It just froze and couldn't play the compositions from After Effects back in Premiere Pro. So I had to render out all those 150 something compositions as separate videos and put them back in Premiere. And it takes all the compositions, it's just like separate shots from the video, right? Each shot is like 2-3 seconds long. Some are shorter, some longer, but on average, let's say it's 3 seconds. And do you know how long it takes to render out one shot from After Effects that lasts 3 seconds? Let me know your best guess in the chat box. So 3 seconds with all the 3D effects. And while you're waiting, while you're typing and I'm waiting, I'm going to tell you the most horrific thing is that it takes from 15 minutes to an hour to render out these 3-second shots, depending on the complexity of the shot. So if it's just one character, say it's just Sergei playing the drums with the background, it will be like around 15 minutes. But if there are 4 of us, so it's a wider shot, and especially if there are some effects on top of that, like the snow casting or something, it will take about an hour or sometimes more if the shot is a little bit longer. So it's insane. Just rendering it out took days. And the issue is that I couldn't see all the details in the small After Effects preview because I had to use a very low quality to monitor it. And if I saw any issues after I rendered it out, a hard word to say, I had to do it again. So for the last couple of weeks, I basically did just rendering. And so now I'm thinking, how should I approach our future videos? Because I also have some vivid visions of how I want them to look. And the technology I used actually looks pretty good when it's done. But this amount of time is just insane. We actually tried a new method of doing it. I mentioned in the beginning that on the 31st of December, we rented some gear to test, and we actually rented some projectors and a screen to project on. And the idea was to project the background on the screen, and we would need a very advanced short throw projector, so you can put it really close to the screen and it would still give you a big projection. And it looked pretty well until you tried to light the talent in front of this projection. As soon as any additional light hits the projection, it kind of grays out, fades out in the area where light hits it. So unfortunately, it didn't work, and it would have been so nice if it would have been possible to do it. But unfortunately, even though it could solve a lot of our problems, it would add new ones. So I don't think it's worth, getting one of these projectors. They're really expensive. So not the thing I want to do for now. But another adjustment I think we're gotta make is using blue screen instead of green screen in the future, because green gives this reflection around the character, and not only in the reflective surfaces like the symbols and the bracers and the leather stuff that's on our cloth, but just around your head, your arms, etc., just like a slightly greened contour. And with a blue sky in the background, it's very noticeable. But I think that using a blue screen would at least partially eliminate this issue, because the outline will be blue instead of green. So it would look more natural against the blue sky in the background if it's again, a scenic shot of some nature. So I'm considering using a blue screen, and also some adjustments to the lighting that we need to make. And of course, we need to try to place at least our drums farther away from the green screen or blue screen, whichever we use. So we also learned a lot. But this rendering time is just insane. I have to figure something out, and I have no idea how to approach it. Maybe get a second GPU, though I'm not sure if I have a slot in my motherboard. I have to check. But yeah. But at least I really enjoyed the result. I really like that the background looks really realistic, and that we blend nicely, for the most of the time at least, with the background. So it looks pretty natural to me. There were some shots that I wasn't 100% satisfied, but it wasn't due to the compositing, but mostly due to the camera that we used, which is a whole other thing, and it's not the main issue at the moment. All right, I hope you nerdy people enjoyed this breakdown of how I made it. So let's see what you wrote. Блин, сложно. Yeah, it's really complicated. All of that effort resulted in a great music video. Hopefully you see much success in the future. Thank you so much, John. You're really kind. Не 10 часов, not 10 hours. But you can imagine that it's 150 shots, and if on average it takes 40 minutes, let's say, to render it, how many hours of pure rendering? How many hours it would be? It's literally days. А где вы костюмы взяли? Помню, что, похоже, my mother told me. Yeah, where did you get the costumes? So Marina noticed that there was something similar in My Mother Told Me, and she is 100% correct. So my dress and I don't know what's it called, a coat kind of thingy with the fur, and the shirts that Tina and Anton wore are the ones that we used in My Mother Told Me. So you're 100% right on that. And Sergei's chainmail and the shield and the sword that were part of the props. I guess he rented them from some people who are into this historical epoch, like the Viking era. So they have a lot of authentic costumes, and we considered like renting some of them for our outfits, but decided that we wanted to have a kind of more fantasy look. And since we already had those laying around, and some of the inspiration for the visual parts of this whole video was actually from the Vikings, the TV series that used My Mother Told Me in the soundtrack. So yeah, it was just basically a no-brainer. So we used what we had. Same issue for me, 8 hours for 20 seconds with Unreal. I do it when I sleep. Exactly, I do it also when I sleep. So I calculated that on average 24, 25 shots would take about 8 hours to render. So I turned it to rendering when I went to sleep. And checked it out after I woke up the next day. So yeah, love 3D stuff, but the time it takes to render, oh, it's insane. All right, guys, if you have any questions, please feel free to leave them in the chat. And I also have a couple of questions from Instagram. So, my phone is super laggy today. It just doesn't want to show me what I wanted to show. So, Freeze United asked on Instagram, Wellerman song, please. So I guess he meant that when I'm gonna release it on all the streaming services. I remember you, my friend. You asked it before. Unfortunately, since I want to remaster and probably remix a lot of the stuff that I recorded for YouTube and to release it on Spotify and such. And the remixing and remastering takes a lot of time. I'm not sure when this is going to happen because I just don't have enough time at the moment. And our priority at the moment is making the album, finishing the album and releasing the album with our original songs. And actually, there is a very, very exciting single that's coming out next. It's a collaboration, and my dear patrons already know who joined us for this collab. And it's super exciting, but I want to do everything right for this release. So it might be sometime in the middle or maybe closer to the end of February, because again, we have to figure out all the video situations. And again, I'm going to make main music video, probably with, again, some 3D elements. And then like a lyric video, a sing-through video, maybe a piano version. And I really want to have it all finished before we release the actual single. So I don't have the exact date for now, so please stay tuned. And if you want to see what's happening behind the scenes, you can join my Patreon or Coffee if you're not a member already. But as far as I can see, most of you are, and I really appreciate you guys. So that's the first question I got. And another one is from my friend Jose, who's the creator of Reborn Redeem brand. By the way, if you're into some graphic t-shirts that have a great message behind them, check them out. So, what makes your music stand out and pierce our hearts with such love and emotion? And it's so super sweet. Jose, if you're watching it, thank you so much. I really appreciate you saying that. And I guess what makes it so emotional is that I channel my own emotions, and I really want to share them with you. And if you're feeling the same thing, and feel it so deeply that it's really hard to share it with anybody around you, I want you to know that you're not alone, and you know, we share this same emotion, even though we like don't know each other, or we're like across the globe from each other, and that's what brings us all together as humans. So, thank you for feeling it, even though we've never actually seen each other in person. Okay, greetings from Honduras. You're very beautiful. Thank you. I've been following your music since your first material with Revantulet. Oh, thank you so much, R3X. It's nice to meet you. I don't think we've, talked before, or maybe I don't know your other, screen names. Thank you so much. I appreciate you sticking around for so long. I hope you will enjoy the upcoming album too. All right, guys. If you don't have any more questions, I'm going to wrap it all up. We've been here nerding out for almost an hour. And I really appreciate you all sticking around for this long, nerdy live stream, and for supporting my music and our band. And I hope that, we will bring you more interesting stuff for this year. And even though the holidays are over, I hope you will have this holiday spirit with you throughout the year to cheer you up in your darker days if it happens, and lift you up even more on your bright days. All right, thank you and have a great evening, and very much the same to you, John. Thank you so much for chatting with me tonight. All right, guys. I will see you soon. Bye.